Hello everybody, welcome back to OCD Recovery. My name is Marlie. I've made a couple of videos for the channel now, so you've probably seen me before. I'm just hopping on here real quick on my lunch break from work to do a little video. Today I want to talk about what some of my biggest and most difficult compulsions to stop were, and just go over them, and maybe if by talking about them, it will help you identify them within yourself so that you can stop them as well. The biggest compulsion that I had and the most difficult to stop was reassurance seeking. When I first came into OCD recovery, I was probably reassurance seeking almost every 5 minutes. And it was mostly with my family members. And it came in all different forms. Whether it was venting about how anxious I was or what themes I was dealing with, or if it was asking them, am I okay? Do you still love me even though I'm anxious and, messed up and not doing well? Whether it was, what do you think about this thought that I had? Like, do you think that's an okay thought to have? All different forms of reassurance seeking. The way that I stopped that was literally cold turkey. I just completely stopped communicating about OCD with my family altogether. And it was extremely difficult. Nick made a video recently about how hard it is to stop these big compulsions, and it can really be hard, but you have to hold out, and you will find a way to hold out, and eventually that urge to do those compulsions will subside. The next biggest compulsion I had was avoidance. At the time that I came in, I was experiencing OCD 24/7, so I had chronic OCD, and my way of coping was to avoid all of life. I was not working, I wasn't seeing friends, I was not leaving my house, I wasn't doing anything that I enjoyed, I wasn't working out. So basically my life structure was a mess. I'd had no life structure whatsoever, and I was avoiding all of those things because I was nervous of what other people would think of me in the state that I was in, and also about becoming more anxious while doing those things, and also about not being excited to do those things. So especially with like hobbies that I enjoyed, I was like, well, I'm anxious and I'm upset and I'm sad and I'm depressed, so I'm not going to enjoy doing anything that I normally would, so why would I go do them? The way that I started that was small and gradual over time, just because there were so many avoidance behaviors that I had. So I just started with going out by myself with no one else, no family members, no nothing. And just going out in public and seeing people, whether I took myself out to lunch or I literally just ran to CVS and picked something up from the store. And then I got a job, so I started working, and that really helped to kind of break down the whole spider web of avoidance, because I was going to work in a normal schedule. It helped to create some life structure for me. And then I slowly started adding things in, like working out. I started going and doing things that I used to enjoy, even though I knew and accepted that I may not enjoy them. I knew that it was still meaningful to do those things, and my life still had purpose, even if I was depressed or anxious. And that's kind of how I untangled that web of avoidance. The next one were recovery-based compulsions. So during my journey with OCD, my biggest themes were sensory motor and fear of fear. Now, fear of fear has to do with, fearing the anxiety sensations or the OCD itself. And I became completely afraid of OCD and the fact that this was going on in my brain. And so, sorry, that was a coworker that I was just saying hi to. And so I had a lot of compulsions come up for recovery based. They started very early on in my journey, even before I came into OCD recovery. One was that I was obsessed with sleep, and I was really scared of not sleeping because I wasn't at all. I was probably sleeping like an hour every couple of nights at my worst. And so I would Google sleep and how to fix my sleep, and if the amount that I was sleeping was okay all the time. And I was looking basically for a way to recover from insomnia, and so I was researching excessively. That turned into researching OCD excessively, and when I came into OCD recovery, I was watching their videos obsessively. So anytime I would get extremely anxious, I would turn on an OCD recovery video, and that was happening multiple times a day. I also started excessive note taking, so I would write down any thoughts that would pop in, or intrusive thoughts that would pop in, so I knew to talk about them at a later point. I was also, during my meetings with Nick and different coaches, I would take excessive notes before the meeting, so I remembered to hit every single point, and then I would take notes during and then after, and it was a way of me to try to control my ability to recover. I was also writing down, my compulsions. Anytime I had a thought about that, was writing those down. Another recovery-based compulsion for me was chasing exposures. So I had my main themes of sensory motor and, fear of fear. But I also was experiencing a lot of other different themes, most likely because I was afraid to experience those themes, even though they hadn't really developed for me, if that makes any sense. I was like, say I'd heard about POCD, and then all of a sudden I was afraid to experience POCD. So I would start chasing exposures for POCD, even though I didn't develop any compulsions for it yet. So that's really like fear-based compulsions that I was doing, and I had to get rid of those so that OCD wasn't present in my mind all the time. As soon as I let go a little bit of my journey and realized, and accepted the fact I may never fully recover from OCD, which was that fear, I stopped those compulsions. OCD wasn't at the forefront of my brain all the time, and I wasn't watching my recovery journey like a hawk. And that for me was extremely important in recovering. Those were the biggest and hardest compulsions for me to stop, and stopping those was extremely difficult. There was points where I was, writhing on the ground crying, trying to stop myself from seeking reassurance. I need you to know that it's going to feel extremely difficult when you stop your biggest compulsions, but you can do it. There's no law saying that you can't, and it's going to be difficult for a period of time until you don't feel that urge to do it anymore. And good luck on all of your recovery journeys, and I hope this video helped to be able to identify some of these in yourself, specifically the fear-based compulsions, because those can be tricky to catch, because when you're in recovery, you think, oh, well, I'm supposed to be trying to recover all the time. And it can be really tricky, and that's kind of how OCD tricks you into thinking that you are recovering when you're really being obsessive about recovering. So, thank you.